Hi, and welcome to this lecture on early modern English and the English Renaissance in Field 5, History of the English Language and Literature, in the course English 6. The death of Geoffrey Chaucer in around 1400 marked the beginning of a period of transition from Middle English to early modern English. Early modern English is regarded to be a period between around 1500 to 1660. The three most important developments during the period were the invention of printing, which was, of course, extremely important because this meant that many more people could get a chance to read, get a chance to learn to read, but also that texts could be distributed uh, more among the population. Before this, a book, for example, was extremely expensive and could only be accessed by the very upper classes of society. But at this time, it became more and more easily obtainable by almost everyone. The rise of London English. London English became the standard form of English, and a standardization in especially spelling became very apparent during early modern English time, and the London English became the standard. Before this, English was spelled very differently in different regions of the country. It could be so that a person from, for example, southern England could barely understand what someone from northern England had written because of the uh, very orthographical spelling, which means that it is spelled like it sounds. But at this time, um, there was a standardization starting to take place, which developed out of the London English standard. Also, the spread of new learning associated with the Renaissance. The Renaissance is a literary and cultural period which happened at roughly the same time as early modern English. The Renaissance focused a lot on new types of writing and getting writing out to people more and more. Uh, and we're going to talk more about the Renaissance later on in this lecture. The Great Vowel Shift. A shift in vowel sounds in London English occurred during the early days of early modern English. For example, I and you became I and ow, or E and U rather became I and ow. We have some examples here of Middle English spelling pronunciation, early modern English pronunciation, and present day pronunciation and present day spelling. So the Middle English spelling of the present life was leaf, and in early modern English it became leif, which is now life. So we have a shift in the vowel sound in the middle. Other words such as deal went from del to del to deal. Name from name to nem to name. Home got from home to home to home. Moon went from mune to moon to moon. And house went from hus to hus to house. So we can see a very distinct shift in the vowel sounds between Middle English, early modern English, and the present pronunciation of these words. The English Renaissance started around 1485, so roughly at the same time that early modern English started. This was the time that the War of the Roses ended and the Tudor dynasty began their reign. The Tudor dynasty was a dynasty of kings and queens which would rule in England for hundreds of years to come. The English Renaissance was mostly composed of literature and music, but also other art forms such as painted art. Painted art, however, was much more apparent in the southern European regions of, for example, Italy in the Italian Renaissance. The English Renaissance was more composed of literature and music. It continued until around 1620, and most scholars regard the death of Shakespeare to be the end point of the English Renaissance. Renaissance means rebirth, and it was the rebirth of the ancient Greek and Roman culture. Uh, Before this, Europe had been in what is called the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. And at this time, a renaissance, a rebirth of the older ideals of the Greek and Roman culture were more and more explored, both in literature and in music, but also in art such as painting and sculpture. Plays, poems, and other texts written at this time can be read fairly easily by contemporary readers, and this is because they were written in a form of early modern English. And as we can hear in the word early modern English, it means that it is very similar to the modern English that we speak today, only that it is the earliest form of it. William Shakespeare, um, funnily enough, we know almost nothing about William Shakespeare's life, at least his personal life. Um, he left behind no diaries, no letters, no other personal pieces of writing which could be studied for us to understand his person. He was born sometime in April in 1564, that much we know, in a town called Stratford upon Avon to a tradesman and his wife. We know that he attended the local free grammar school where he was taught to read and write, both in English, Latin, and also possibly in Greek. And he became, during his 52 years of life, the most famous writer the world has ever seen. There is almost no one who has not heard the name William Shakespeare. Shakespeare became a prominent actor and playwright in 1592. Uh, Probably he became this a little bit earlier, but in 1952 was the first time his career is mentioned in any type of writing. His first play, however, was written in 1589, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, and his 38th and final play was written in 1614 called The Two Noble Kinsmen. You might have heard of such plays as Hamlet from 1601, Romeo and Juliet from 1595, or many of his sonnets, the most prominent being Sonnet 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day from 1609. In the actual presentation material, you can listen to Sonnet 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? But we're not going to do that in this lecture here. If you want to listen to it, you can search for it on YouTube or open the real presentation material. That was everything for this lecture. I hope to see you next time. Bye.